Goeiedag. Good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And look, you know I've talked a bit about Dlamini Zuma's involvement with Edward Zuma and the illicit cigarette sales and why the illegal sale of cigarettes has probably been prevented. Because they're making a killing with their illegal cigarette sales, aren't they? But that's all in the older videos. You can go and check them out. So let's add a bit of meat to the bone here, shall we? On April the 15th, a shopkeeper in Kalbaskraal, Malmesbury, was stabbed to death for refusing to sell cigarettes. Tobacco is addictive and nicotine withdrawal can cause severe cravings, irritability and anxiety. Amid the heavy burden of gender-based violence and with men forming the bulk of smokers, women and children may well bear the brunt of mood swings and withdrawal outbursts. Despite calls by smokers and the legal tobacco industry, on April the 29th, the government confirmed its uncompromising stance on the ban. Strangely, this announcement followed only 6 days after President Cyril Ramaphosa declared that the government planned to lift the tobacco ban as South Africa entered level 4 of the lockdown on the 1st of May. Unsurprisingly, there was a collective sigh of relief amongst smokers at the time, only for that to turn out to disgust and outrage on social media late on Wednesday evening over the authorities' about term. Well, that happened because Dlamini Zuma was playing her power card, wasn't she? Which is the whole reason why the whole country is in suspense, wondering if Ramaphosa is still president or whether he's just acting in that role until Dlamini Zuma, who's Jacob Zuma's ex-wife, takes control of South Africa. That would be a disaster. Then you could just see the rand going. Anyway, let's continue. Despite wide support for the nationwide lockdown, the tobacco ban has pitched South Africa's estimated 7 million smokers firmly against the government, thus shedding light on the social contract between smokers and the state government. Missed a golden opportunity to garner support and goodwill from the millions of smokers. South Africa has one of the strictest tobacco laws worldwide, and smokers in general comply with this legislation. Well, that legislation only applies to the people who smoke the cigarettes, not to the illicit cigarette industry, which Edward Zuma, Jacob Zuma's eldest son, has got his snout deep in the trough. It is not against the law to smoke. However, buying illicit tobacco products is. It is estimated that the illegal tobacco industry contributes to government losses of 7 billion rand a year. That's huge. In a country that's bankrupt, that's huge. During the lockdown ban on the sale of legal tobacco products, the fiscus is losing about 35 million rand a day in tax revenue, which amounts to 1.2 billion rand over the initial 5-week period. Uncertainty about the length of level 4 lockdown restrictions makes it impossible to calculate further losses. This income is a permanent loss that can never be recovered. Admittedly, the aforementioned figures amount to fractions of the country's income, yet every single rand counts in our fight against the COVID-19 pandemic, considering the fact that our cash-strapped government plans to borrow more than 400 billion rand from various international lenders to foot the bill of the coronavirus. Strain theories are useful in making sense of smokers' current behavior. Whilst everyone experiences objective strain in the form of the lockdown, subjective strain refers to stresses that impact us at a deep personal level. This may include lack of personal contact with friends and family, walking the dog, jogging, or consuming takeaway food. Furthermore, when something that one values as positive is removed and replaced by something negative, the situation increases stress. The government's refusal to entertain the pleas of smokers to purchase legal tobacco and the accompanying whimsical restrictions of what amounts to an extended lockdown add to smokers' stress, with withdrawal symptoms compounding an already vexatious situation. Prolonged stress leads to frustration, which eventually turns into anger. These emotions are intensified when a sanction is seen as unjustified, when one has little control over the situation, and when there are few checks and balances to prevent criminal behavior. Like the Zumas with illicit cigarettes. The magnitude of strain increases exponentially, and it is unsurprising that the tobacco ban has been described as nonsensical, spiteful, and downright mean. The interpretation of the source of strain, namely the government, is what amplifies feelings of resentment. Smokers' anger towards the government is fueled by public perception of years of corruption and mismanagement, so they easily find reasons to justify breaking laws that they have complied with before. In order to navigate through their subjective stress and anger, smokers are left with very few options: either ration current stock, quit smoking, or source tobacco illegally. Here comes Edward Zuma. The facts are that most smokers have run out of stock they bought for the initial 3-week lockdown, and the difficulty of quitting the habit is well documented. The result is smokers have turned to the illicit tobacco trade, thus feeding organized crime. Get that? Organized crime. Dlamini Zuma's stepson. Think about it. Most people conform to the norms, values, and laws of the government. Individuals who attain their goals through illegal means are called innovators because they find alternative ways to get what they want. Presently, smokers who have largely been conformers to tobacco legislation are becoming innovators to source cigarettes. Anecdotal evidence points to much innovation to purchase tobacco. Strategies vary, from approaching petrol station attendants, homeless people, and unsavory characters in rundown areas to make use of social media platforms and drones to receive deliveries. Much like the legal market, the parallel criminal economy functions on the principles of supply and demand, and with a high demand for tobacco, prices have rocketed. Depending on the geographic area, a carton of illicit cigarettes sold for as little as 200 Rand during the first phase of lockdown, with price substantially higher for legal ones, 1,000 Rand or more. Before lockdown, these products sold for about 80 Rand and 400 Rand respectively. Predictably, following the government reneging on its undertaking to lift the ban, prices will balloon even more. While the manifest consequences for the smokers unlawfully purchasing an illegal product, the latent consequences for the South African economy is far more devastating. The solution to the problem is clear. The government must lift the ban on tobacco sales. Most smokers are all too familiar with the health hazards of smoking, and they should shoulder whatever health consequences come their way. If government intention with the tobacco ban was to reduce the number of smokers in South Africa and/or ameliorate the negative consequences when smokers fall prey to the ravages of COVID-19, the aspiration clearly failed. Smokers continue to source tobacco products because they were pushed into the welcoming arms of the country's organized crime industry. Both smokers and the government are now picking the fruits of a poison tree. With some politicians and high-ranking officials having been linked to the illegal tobacco industry without any investigation or prosecution thus far, perhaps the pertinent question is, why or who is really lining their pockets with the current tobacco ban? Well, that's pretty self-evident, isn't it? Think of Jacob Zuma, his son, Edward. He's learning well, and the ANC gangster state is, of course, giving him a free pass. Alright guys, please remember to subscribe to be kept informed. Ring the bell for the updates. Please like this video, please share this video, and above all, please stay safe.